Recently, a large number of Chinese military forces have shown up in large numbers along the coastal area of Maoming City, Guangdong Province, and the PLA appears to have intentions of unifying Taiwan by force. On July 31st, a large number of armored vehicles were spotted in Maoming, Guangdong Province's Dubai district, but their exact movement and reason for being there is unknown. In this video, locals say they are preparing to attack Taiwan. For a week, the Chinese army has intensified its actions along the coasts of Guangxi and Guangdong. This is after the USS Reagan and Nimitz's two aircraft carrier battle groups conducted exercises in the South China Sea. The Nimitz aircraft carrier battle group rushed to the Middle East and the South China Sea. Only the Reagan carrier battle fleet remained in the area. It seems that the People's Liberation Army has taken the strategy of, if the enemy is retreating, I will advance. If the enemy is advancing, I will retreat. In response to the increased activities of the People's Liberation Army, the US P-8A anti-submarine patrol aircraft and KC-135 aerial tanker approached 96 kilometers along the coast of Guangdong for reconnaissance on the 31st. Hong Kong's South China Morning Post reported on July 27th that the US fighter plane approached Shanghai, less than 100 kilometers away. Then immediately, Shanghai conducted air defense exercises. On July 25th, video shows Beijing going into an unprecedented state of tension, and they began to deploy air defenses, while posting propaganda material on how citizens are to get into a bomb shelter. Will the PLA attack Taiwan? If the PLA attacks Taiwan, will the US military intervene? The current U.S. Relations with Taiwan Act states that the United States will provide Taiwan with such quantities of defense materials and technical services as are necessary to enable Taiwan to maintain an adequate self-defense capability. The act does not guarantee that the United States will intervene militarily in the event of an invasion of Taiwan. In fact, Beijing's greatest fear is that the U.S. military will intervene directly. Under pressure from the U.S. military, it is expected that the PLA would not dare to attack Taiwan directly. But many analysts also believe that Xi Jinping might attack Taiwan, and believe that now may be the best window to do so. For Beijing, and especially for Xi Jinping, waging a small-scale war is much needed. The situation Xi is facing today is one of internal and external turmoil, and a war victory is desperately needed to deflect these conflicts and prove his strength. All this is happening right before the United States election. Many analysts believe that in order to win re-election, the current president would not do anything controversial. So at this point, the US has no desire to actively engage in war. Although it now appears that China is considering an attack on Taiwan, analyzing various signs, the People's Liberation Army still worry about the US military's intervention and dare not attack Taiwan, so as to avoid conflict with the US military. First, the timing of the PLA's activities was selected half a month after the US Nimitz aircraft carrier battle group left the South China Sea. Second, the PLA Navy knew that its strength was weak, so the exercise area was west of the Leizhou Peninsula, which is equivalent to China's own inland sea. The US, Australian, and Japanese navies conducted exercises in the South China Sea 2 weeks ago. If they are not afraid, they will conduct tit-for-tat exercises in that area. Third, the Navy is weak, so it relies on land-based military equipment such as missiles and artillery for joint operations. Fourth, if you want to attack Taiwan, it is more reasonable that military forces should be deployed in the areas of Fujian, Putian, and Guangzhou and Fujian, which is closest to Taiwan and makes the attack more convenient. It is more likely that the large amount of armaments appearing off the coast of Guangdong and in the South China Sea region is for show rather than for attacking Taiwan. Let's look again at why Xi Jinping has a need for waging war. In terms of foreign relations, relations with the United States worsened since the trade war. The two sides closed each other's consulates. the United States also began recently to catch communist spies in its country. Because of cyber surveillance and technology theft, several countries such as Australia, Canada, and the UK are unhappy with China due to the Huawei incident. Forcing a Hong Kong national security law caused a strong reaction in the UK. Now there is news Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier battle fleet en route to patrolling the South China Sea in mid-August. On June 15th, Chinese and Indian soldiers clashed violently at the border, resulting in the deaths of 20 Indian soldiers, with no casualties announced by the Chinese side. Since then, both China and India have significantly increased their troops around the border, and according to rumors, China has sent 3 mountain brigades to the China-India border. Relations with Russia, too, are going down, with the suspension of S-400 missile deliveries to China. China's domestic situation. Since Xi Jinping's large-scale anti-corruption campaign, he has eliminated many disgruntled officials in an attempt to establish a single power. At the same time, the implementation of company joint ventures and the nationalization of private enterprises are sacking the pockets of powerful families. For example, when Qiao Jianhui's Tomorrow Holdings Company Limited was taken over, Qiao became a money-grabbing hand that takes from the rich and powerful. Alibaba's Jack Ma was retired, the Lenovo Group chairman was retired, and the Huawei chairman was replaced. This led to dissatisfaction with Xi from various powers. While Xi Jinping promoted the building of a prosperous society in an all-around way, Premier Li Keqiang publicly stated that there are still 600 million people in the country with a monthly income of less than 1,000 yuan, which is not enough to rent houses in ordinary small and medium cities. This means that some factions that were allied with Xi Jinping have also begun to stand up against him and directly challenge Xi's authority. In dealing with floods and the Wuhan pneumonia epidemic, Xi Jinping lost popular support. Now, the powerful elite class are looking for who to hold accountable for internal and external failures, and some forces opposed to Xi may use this to force him to step down. So, Xi Jinping desperately needs to fight a small war to re-establish his authority. If he fights a large-scale war and loses, the communist regime will collapse. So his will is to opt for a small war. However, he must win it. Mao Zedong and Deng Xiaoping, the past leaders of the Chinese Communist Party, used the method of waging foreign wars to establish or consolidate their authority at home. January 1962, at a CCP meeting of 7,000 people, Liu Shaoqi concluded that the Great Famine of China, which led to the death of tens of millions of people by starvation, was a 30% natural disaster and a 70% man-made disaster. That's when Mao Zedong lost power and no longer presided over the daily work of the Central Committee of the CCP, and was replaced by Liu Shaoqi, Deng Xiaoping, and others. Because Liu Shaoqi told the truth, he is well respected. In 1962, Mao Zedong, who was then only the chairman of the Central Military Commission of the CCP, took advantage of the border crisis between China and India at the time to launch a self-defense counterattack against India, and defeated it in one fell swoop. In the process of mobilizing the army, Mao Zedong better controlled the leadership of the army. Because of the victory over India, Mao Zedong's popularity rose, and he returned to power. In 1979, the reputation of Deng Xiaoping, then chairman of the Central Military Commission of the CCP, was declining. Hu Yaobang increased his reputation for vindicating unjust, false, and wrongful cases during the Cultural Revolution, and Deng returned to power through the Vietnam War. Of course, Xi Jinping is very familiar with these routines in the CCP. From this point of view, a small-scale war with India is feasible. Because of the high altitude of the Sino-Indian border, the terrain is mountainous with valleys. Logistics support is difficult, and at the same time, it is far from the economically developed, densely populated areas of China and India, so the scale of the war is very easy to control. For China, a war with the United States is equal to an egg hitting a rock, but a battle with India is a good way to deflect internal and external conflict. China and India have been in a competitive relationship for decades, with constant conflicts and frictions. Fighting against India, China has a psychological morale advantage from winning in 1962.